What's going on, guys? Welcome back to WWE Network and Show, where Graham G.S. and Matthews break down all the original content they watch on the WWE Network and on Peacock. And today we're talking the August 1st, 2022 edition of Raw Talk. I did think Monday's Raw was a much better show than what it's been for the last couple of months. Triple H being in charge creatively was definitely evident from watching that show, so hopefully it can translate to better editions of Raw Talk. I'm not banking on that. This was a fairly average edition of the show, but I did think the promo from the Profits was great. And I would love if Triple H brought back the old format for these shows, like he even gave a shit. I'm sure he gives all of two shits about these shows. Talking Smack, SmackDown Lowdown, whatever, Raw Talk. That'll never happen. So hopefully they could just continue to make the most of this format. But like I said, the Profits cut a great promo on the show. We heard from Rollins briefly and the Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair. So we certainly were not lacking star power on this episode of Raw Talk. This started off in the studio, Jackie Redmond, Matt Cam running down the biggest headlines from Monday's show before recapping the Rollins and Montez Ford matchup, which was quite good. Rollins backstage with Sarah Schreiber tells her that, he's a meme machine after the memes came out about him running to the ring with the officials behind him at SummerSlam on Saturday. And he's also the king of the summer. He's glad he got to be a part of SummerSlam and the awesomeness that was that opener and the hectic main event between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, all this other sort of stuff. Doesn't really say anything of note, but it was cool to get Rollins here on the show nonetheless. Matt Cam says that Rollins will be very closely watching Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle. We saw Roman and Seth come face-to-face in the aisleway last week to close out Raw, 10 days ago, not this week. So that will be something to watch for in the future. And he also says, Matt Cam does, that Riddle will be coming for Rollins when Riddle is clear to compete in kayfabe in the near future. We hear from the Profits backstage. As I mentioned, great promo here, Ford and Dawkins. And I literally just said in my SmackDown Lowdown review yesterday that the Profits always bring the energy, but they never, ever, ever say anything of note. Because they're always kind of just rambling and just having fun, which is great, and they're fun interviews. But there's really nothing for me to talk about because there's really nothing for, that they say in these promos. That being said, though, there was no energy here, which is exactly how it should have been. The Profits lost again at SummerSlam. They once again failed to win the WWE Undisputed Tag Team titles from the Usos. Ford losing again on Raw to Seth Rollins one-on-one. It was a rough weekend, Montez Ford says. He can't put the words, and he can't put those emotions into words. Can't describe those emotions. And he says Rollins might be right. Now, what he's right about, I don't know. He did not elaborate. Rollins did say it might be time for these two to split up. I don't know if that's what he was talking about or something else. I'm not exactly sure what he was alluding to there. He does say that, I'm here to do the media. It's part of my obligations to talk and whatever. But I feel like I'm wasting everyone's time. And then when Kevin Patrick says, do you have any comments? Anything to add, Angelo? Angelo Dawkins says, Rollins crossed the line on Raw by going after Montez Ford. Now it's personal. So expect Angelo Dawkins and Seth Rollins one-on-one next week on Raw. But I thought this was one of the best pieces of business I have ever seen from these two on the mic. It's always very high energy and fun and games, and that's great more often than not. But when you come off a string of losses, they can't be all happy-go-lucky. They have to show some emotion and show some frustration. We got that frustration here from the Profits. My only regret is it aired here on Raw Talk and not on Raw. I love when we get stuff like this on Raw Talk, and it really encourages people to go out of their way to check it out. But we should be getting this stuff on Raw, or at least replayed on Raw the following week. I know it's a week later, but still, that would be worthwhile because this promo was great. Or at least see something similar to it next Monday on the show. Anyway, Matt Camp says the exact same thing. He wanted to see that on Raw from the Profits because they came out dancing, goofing around when they interrupted Seth Rollins. They already lost at SummerSlam. I know it was the extra loss to Rollins on Raw that really put Ford over the edge as far as frustration-wise, but he was already pissed after SummerSlam, so you would think they would still be pissed coming out of the matchup, but at least we got it at all. And they are currently at a crossroads, Matt Camp says. From there, they recap the main event, the Usos successfully retaining the undisputed WWE Tag Team titles against the Mysterios. They also recap the post-match angle that saw Edge make the save for the Mysterios after the match and accidentally speared Dominic Mysterio. Matt Camp isn't really sure of this Edge and Mysterio's alliance. He was on board, 2 days earlier at SummerSlam because Edge and Ray are former tag team champions in general together. But that little seed of dissension might play a factor in them not being on the same page after all. And then he also calls Judgment Day equals. I think Jackie Redmond kind of brought up the question, could Rhea Ripley be the leader here? And then Matt Camp kind of quickly cut that down and said, no, they're all equals, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't agree. If they've all been equals thus far, it hasn't exactly worked out. The group sucks. And I love Rhea, I love Finn, I love Damian. The way they've been booked, though, they've been booked as losers. Honestly, make Rhea the new leader. She is the most important one of these three anyway. So just say fuck it and make her the leader. None of the shit where they're the equals. Because I feel like when you have groups that are equals, aside from maybe the Shield, that never really works out. You kind of need a leader. Evolution had a leader. DX had a leader to an extent. A lot of other factions. I know those are both Triple H factions, but you kind of need someone at the helm to really guide where the group needs to go. And Judgment Day needs that in Rhea Ripley, in my opinion. From there, they recap the U.S. Championship qualifiers before replaying the the tail end of the AJ Styles Ciampa matchup, which was really good. Back in the studio, Redmond and Camp preview next week's United States Championship clash between Bobby Lashley and Ciampa. They also recap the women's saga from Raw involving Bianca Belair and Bayley, Io Sky, Dakota Kai, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and all the chaos that ensued there. Backstage, Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair tells Sarah Schreiber that it's her division and that there is no rest for the best. So very short and sweet stuff here from Bianca Belair on Raw Talk. And then to close out the episode, Matt Cam says it's very smart for Belair to have Alexa Bliss and Asuka, former Raw and SmackDown Women's Champions, on her side as she now feuds with Bayley, Io Sky, and Dakota Kai. Solid stuff here for Raw Talk for August 1st, 2022. Like I said, we got some star power. The Profits. We heard from Bianca Belair, Seth Rollins, but that Profits promo in particular, well worth checking out. And as I've said before, I'm pretty sure WWE puts up all the, a compilation of all the actual promos from Raw Talk and skip out and cut out all the bullshit. They put it up on their YouTube channel. So if you missed it, check it out. It was really, really good. Thank you guys for checking out my review. I appreciate it. Plenty more content coming here to the channel soon. Please be patient. Just got to have a chance to upload it all at some point. I can't even say soon. I don't even really know when a lot of it's going to be up. I'm just really busy right now. But keep an eye out for the channel and hit that subscribe button to be notified every time a new video goes up. Have an awesome one, guys. I'm Graham G.S. Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.